Space Dwarf! Welcome to another Army reaction and unboxing. As you see before you, we have the new Leagues of Votann Space Dwarves, and I have JT in the studio with me. I am Nick, and I also have Tak in the studio with me. So this is a brand new army. One of the first times this has ever happened for Games Workshop in a very long time. And yes, I know the Sisters came out recently in the AdMech. We haven't had a truly new race in the game that is different from everything else in a very long time.
Oh, yeah.
So this is very exciting.
This has been a group effort because Tycho did an amazing job with these, painted this in 2.5 days.
Assembled and painted it in 2.5 days.
Yeah. Yes, and JT has become the resident Dwarf player or Votann player.
Oh, it smells like untapped potential.
I've become the resident target of Dwarf Fire.
He's speaking that because we recently filmed our first game of this. We're excited to put it on the channel if it isn't out already. And we did the AdMech, played by Tak, versus the Leagues of Votann. And wow, the Leagues of Votann hit hard.
Yes, they do. That's kind of their gimmick. They hit you hard. They hit you hard and they can take a ton of punishment. However, they're never getting across the board. That's really the drawback. In a game that relies on a lot of movement and shifting objectives mid-table and such, as a current 40K does, they're going to struggle with that. However, if you get close enough, you're going to struggle with that because their output is really, really strong. It's really good.
I don't think it's never, because you do still have the Pioneers. And the Pioneers do
the bikes here
very, very fast.
As we said, this is a brand new army. So we're talking about things like Hearthkin and Pioneers, and you might not know what that is. New miniatures, completely new range, new lore, and how it fits with everything else. So everyone's at the studio have been poring over the book and jealously saying, I want to play the Votann. No, I want to play the Votann. And how did that wrestling match go? Was it like?
I went to the top rope and just finished it.
Yeah, that's
full on. Yeah, I superplexed Tycho off the top of the cage. Steve got a flying crossbody into the corner. Attack went for the camel clutch. I reversed it.
The true story is we can't thank Andrew and Jamie enough for working with us to get us the box for League of Votann.
Employees at Games Workshop.
Who are our kind of like reps, I guess. The neat thing is we actually got to sit down with them, or virtually sit down with them and chat about what are the Leagues of Votann and what would be interesting to see them face. So we said, they're gonna play Orcs, and they're like, they're gonna play this. They should play something in the Imperium. And I'm like, I play AdMech. They should play AdMech. So I went from being someone that could play the Votann to someone that
had to play the enemies.
Had to play the enemy.
So that made it easy for me to slide in as the only member of the team who actually looks like a dwarf and resembles a dwarf the most. I won purely on that.
So, Leagues of Votann, dwarves in space. Oh my goodness, am I happy to be part of this. I have been waiting for this since the original metal sculpts of squats way back. And the new Leagues of Votann are so cool. I can't wait for you guys to see them, and I can't wait to open up this box. Oh, that's even neater. Look at the artwork on the back. That is so cool. All the feels right now. This is so cool. Oh my, look at all that beautiful plastic. Oh, how dwarfy is this? Oh, wait a minute. Does the driver have a beard? The driver doesn't have a beard. Oh, well, that's interesting. Look at the size of his hammer. Now those are dwarven weapons. Oh, the Magna Cannon. Nick's jealous.
I am very jealous of the Magna Cannon. Why do I not have a Magna Cannon?
Oh, data cards. Pulse beam discharge, waste not your last breath. How dwarfy does that sound? Waste not your last breath. I love this so much.
First up, we have to talk about lore. Who are the Leagues of Votann? And give us the quick, Cole's note, couple paragraphs. Who are they and how do they fit in 40K setting?
The Votann elevator pitch. They're space dwarves. They really are space dwarves. So squats have existed in the lore since forever. They squatted the squats, so to speak, Tyranids ate them, whatever it might be. But the Leagues of Votann are an offshoot of humanity that settled in the center of the galaxy, if I read it right.
Almost in the exact
almost
center.
in the center.
Yeah.
So at the birthplace of black holes and high gravity and all these wonderful things.
Which is why they're shorter.
Which is that's why they're shorter. But they have these giant sentient computers, effectively, that's what the Votann are. Also, all of their technology, all of their history, and they fiercely protect that. So their role is to go out, find new stuff, get new resources, and protect their Votann.
Their history.
Their history.
Their
That's
ancestry.
Ancestry, history, the hearth and home. That's what the Votann are all about. They feel like dwarves when you play them. They feel like dwarves when you read them. They feel like dwarves when you play them, and that's really well done.
Like even down, like they have runes on their cloaks and on their sides. Their language
They have
seems to be rune
pickaxes. They've got hammers.
Like
yeah.
all their weaponry and how it's designed, it feels a little more almost like hard edges and stonish, and it looks like how you feel fantasy dwarves should feel, but in space.
It's like 41st millennium steampunky dwarves almost.
Now, okay, correct me if I'm wrong, but in the lore, does it not say that they have complete STCs?
Yes.
Aren't the Votanns
standard
like
template constructs, which are the STCs that the Admech go hunting for all over the place?
Fanatically
The
hunting
Votann
for.
have them and have
Do
unique
not
ones.
like.
The Votann have them.
And lots of them.
And
like
they
a
are
lot.
jealously guarded.
And I think that's one of the most interesting things about Votann. You would, on initial look, think that they're part of the Imperium or the humanoid, right? But they're not really. Like, they trade with everybody. They work with everybody. They work with the other races. And I don't actually think they like the Imperium, and the Imperium definitely does not like them.
They tolerate the human. Going into how they play, so
Judgment.
one of the big army buffs that the army gets is called Judgment. Judgment tokens?
That is basically their mechanic. Space Marines have chapter tactics. Tau have
Marker lights and philosophy of war.
exactly. Votann have judgment tokens. So the idea being, if you do something bad to us, or you do something good on the field, or I just say you are being judged, I can dish out judgment tokens, and you dish out judgment tokens to your opponent.
Are those them right there?
These are the judgment tokens. Yeah, actually, the box set comes with these judgment tokens. They're really kind of cool, and they're 1, 2, 3, maximum of 3 on a unit, and they effectively turn your hits into auto wounds. So 1 judgment token, a 6 to hits, an auto wound. 3 judgment tokens, and a 4 to hits, an auto wound. Now, the caveat is you still have to be able to actually hit at that ballistic skill number. Automatically wounding and counting as a 6 is very, very strong.
You know, I just realized I spent like 2 games with you being judged
You
the
did.
entire time.
They're judged. But a lot of your special mechanics, your special stratagems, and your special abilities rely on having already judged that opponent's unit. So it's not something that you can just alpha strike the crap out of. You got 3 judgment tokens, I'm going to wipe you off the board. It actually takes turns and takes time. It's a really cool mechanic. It's very interactive still. There is no way at this point to get rid of judgment tokens.
Death Watch, I could feel probably taking something off
Maybe,
somehow.
that's
Maybe.
entirely
One day.
possible,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And the other one, defensively, is Void Armor. It's built-in armor of contempt. For those of you unfamiliar, it's ignoring basically the first AP1. So Marines are 3 up, and they ignore an AP1 weapon, so they're still 3 up. Well, Votann are only 4 up, but they ignore the first AP. And because Void Armor, you cannot reroll to wound, and you cannot reroll damage.
The entire army?
Effectively, the entire army. Anything with Void Armor.
When you're looking at that data sheet and you're looking at something that is T4, so standard for some armies,
Yeah.
and 1 wound each, you're not thinking it's that hard to shift. But then you find out that you can't reroll wounds against it, that it ignores 1 AP,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden that unit is hard to shift.
Aside from judgment tokens, when someone getting into Votann for the first time, how would they expect it to play? Is it like a big horde of guys that march slowly across the table with
Can be.
powerful guns,
Can be.
or is it fast moving stuff? Is it a close combat
Can
army?
be.
Is it a shooting army?
Can be.
So it's just everything?
It can be kind of everything. The brilliance of, and a lot of the codexes that Games Workshop's come out, a lot of the codexes have multiple ways to play and multiple ways to be successful at playing the game and at doing things. And Leagues of Votann is no exception.
Okay, so in addition to your judgment and your void armor stuff like that, there's 2 other there's some new weapon profiles I noticed in here. Particularly, there's something called Hunter.
Hunter.
What does Hunter do?
Absolutely nothing. And actually, there's a couple of codexes or a couple of stratagems that I read in there that I thought, oh, well, maybe this should only affect Hunter, or maybe it was missed, or maybe it was just thought to be more general. But effectively, what Hunter is it's not assault, it's not heavy, and it's not rapid fire.
It's just a way to avoid having any of the disadvantages or advantages of assault and heavy weapons, etc.
You don't have to worry about advancing, you just can't advance to shoot. And that's another thing. They don't advance like a regular army. They advance 3. It's called steady advance. So very much like dwarves.
They're very slow.
You can only go 5 plus 3 is 8. Now, there is a mechanic with a lot of these models with teleport crests. So if you notice the characters have these crests, like the Sergeant, the Thane has a crest, the Einhar champion has a crest. You can swap out their sort of defensive crests for what are called teleport crests. And then there's some stratagems around deep striking or teleporting across the field, or even cooler, charging through things.
Oh, that's
so you can
fun.
charge through units to get to something behind it if you've got a teleport crest. You lose invuln saves typically because of it, but it gives you some more mobility. So you lose durability, you gain mobility. So it's a trade-off, which way do you want to play? And that is what's really well thought out about this, is you don't get to do everything. You can, but you don't get to. You have to choose.
That's interesting. I like that. I like that. One thing we've really seen happen with all the latest codexes is a really big intent to make everything in this codex viable. We saw it with pretty much all the latest codexes, that the entirety of the book, you could pretty much throw a dart at it and you could see a use for that unit within the codex. You didn't feel like some were auto takes and some were auto never takes. And I feel like GW has been mostly successful with all of their codexes with this. So in your opinion, do you feel that this was successful at that too?
Oh, absolutely. I think you can. There's an argument to be made for absolutely every unit in the codex. Are these game-breakingly, brokenly good strong? No, they're not. Are they tough to fight? Absolutely they are. But at the bottom line, it's still a 2-wound sergeant and a 1-wound trooper. But I really think it's got a decent inherent balance.
So good internal balance, and that's, to be honest, that is what we want to see in a codex because that makes it fun to play.
Well, Tack, you were shooting at them for the last several days. How do you feel about their
That's true. Yeah,
their
coming from
defensive
the other
capabilities?
perspective, being able to fight into them, like, how did you feel?
I felt like I always had a chance. So they weren't oppressive, right? They were durable, but they weren't mobile. At least the way that you were playing them or the way that you built this particular combat patrol, right? I could dance, I could still deal with that as long as I moved into the right positions and had the played onto the objectives and focus on that. When it came to, okay, having to go out in the open and being shot at by all these weapons, yes, it did feel oppressive. But that's the truth to going into the open versus Tau. That's the truth to going to the open for Space Marines, right? So,
Space Marines and Tactical Doctrine scare the crap out of my Dark Eldar. Yeah.
but do not take a lieutenant against these guys.
Against Votann, yeah. No.
Won't do anything.
You can't
Which
reroll the wound.
I think that's the most interesting part. When you introduce a new army, and it does introduce a new mechanic, and makes you need to think about new lists that you have to put together to face that. List building is kind of one of the funnest parts about this hobby or about coming to a game. So I think these guys just introduce a new way that you have to think about building your list.
Beam, for example. That's you were talking about how you had to be mindful. So
I was just about to talk about that.
The beam weapons are really neat. They've clarified that if I target a unit, like if I were shooting from this end of the table to that end of the table, and my guys are standing way over where my hand is here, and I fire a beam weapon, I'm actually going to target the far unit, and I'm going to clip across as many units as I can. Everybody underneath gets hit. However, it has to be a viable target. So I can't target that character because he's within 3 inches of the bikes and he's within 3 inches of a unit, which means the beam weapon wouldn't hit him.
Yeah, so all of a sudden I was moving as if templates were back. And I was ensuring that I wasn't going to give you something where you could beam across all of my units. I had to kind of be strategic. Think about that a little bit more.
Yeah, they have a lot of new and powerful weapons, and like their infantry can take a ton of weapons, their bikes can take a ton of weapons. They have rail guns. And I have some issue with this.
I don't think we've been able to really gauge how well this is going to play into bigger games because we've only been able to play with Patrol.
But on a larger board, man, you're going to be really careful. You're probably going to have to use those transports and be very aggressive with some turns to get onto those objectives and take board control.
There are some really powerful single models. Smack Daddy is my favorite.
Yeah, let's talk about his relic.
Oh my goodness. So there's a new weapon called a mass hammer. Forget what you heard about thunder hammers. Mass hammers are where they're at because a mass hammer does D3 plus 3 damage.
Right.
It's strength times 2, it's AP 4, and it's D3 plus 3 on a chassis that has a weapon skill of 2. Now it normally has a penalty to hit. However, the Exactor is my favorite relic in the book, bar none. It turns the mass hammer into no penalty to hit, same stat line. However, if you get a 6 to wound or 6 to hit, it becomes D3 plus 3 mortal wounds.
Oh.
Instead of action. That 4 attack model.
I've ever seen JT this excited.
4 attacks, that's all he gets. Like, he's not like a Drukhari succubus with 14 attacks. He has 4. But if he hits you, something gonna die. And I want to see what happens when the dice spike and he walks up to a knight and punches it into non-existence.
Yeah, because you've been just squishing Admech. We need you to go squish something a lot bigger.
We don't often get to do this with these because there's often way too many to go through, but there's not that many data sheets in here. So let's go through the ones in front of us. This is the one that comes with the box set. So it's 2 units of Hearthkin warriors.
It's 20 Hearthkin.
20 Hearthkin.
Which is 1 or 2 units.
1 or 2 units. A unit of, these are called Pioneers?
Hearthkin Pioneers.
They're basically jet bikes with heavy weapons on them.
Anti-grab bikes, yeah.
Lastly, the box set comes with 2 character models.
Yes.
These can be built as either 2 generic HQ models, or one of them can actually be built as a named character.
Yes, Uthar the Destined, which is the Thurian League's special named character. He's ridiculously strong.
Hearthkin. Tell us about Hearthkin. There's 10 to 20 in a unit.
Yep.
They seem actually fairly expensive.
They're only 11 points a model.
11 points a model, but there's like a lot of upgrades that you can put on them.
Yes, there are. So at 11 points a model, the point value might be, I honestly think it might be a little bit low. But depending on when the game was designed, things have changed a lot. We've seen a lot of point changes. 1 point for Ion seems a little bit light.
Yeah.
An Ion Blaster, it's 18 inches, it's strength 5, minus 2 AP, and 2 damage. Oh, that's strong.
It's really strong.
It's really strong.
And you can put that on everybody?
You can put that on all the Hearthkin warriors.
Woo!
It's 1 extra point. 2 can carry a heavy weapon, a rocket launcher, there's a Magna Rail, there's a beamer, and then you can add those extra upgrades, the medic for 5 points, the scanner for 5 or 10 points, and then the comms officer. What comms does is it makes you always within 24 inches of a call to get the rerolls of 1.
So it's kind of like the guard comms officer a little bit. It basically takes buffs from the HQ units and brings it around the army.
So it has a railgun kind of like the Tau, has better plasma kind of like Dark Angel Space Marines, has the comms like guard, has a medic like an apothecary,
Has a Land Raider.
I'm just talking about the troop choice, has an ability to ignore cover, kind of like some of the tactics of other armies. They're kind of a real jack of all trades troop choice. They're a great troop.
And so, yes, you only have 1 troop choice in this codex. However, this troop choice can be incredibly versatile. Hearthkin Pioneers. Let's talk about them.
They're the recon units, or the scout units. They got a ton of guns, like an autocannon, and you can put an extra gun, and then a shotgun, and a pistol, and gravitic concussion grenades, which are kind of fun.
Ion beamers.
You can put beamers,
Magna coil
Highlands.
autocannon.
Yeah.
Now, they fix the issue about moving too slowly. Because they can move very fast.
Yeah, you actually can pregame move them up to 12. Theoretically, they could be on your opponent on the very first turn.
So would you say that that's pretty much how you feel playing this? You feel it's like a thematic book. You feel like you're playing dwarves.
They're angry and stubborn.
That seems like dwarves.
That's kind of how it played into you, didn't it?
Yeah.
They were angry and stubborn. Once Smack Daddy got across the table, the Einhard champion, he just did some serious work.
I've never seen JT so excited about a codex. This has been a lot of fun to go through. I'm really excited for the vehicles that are coming out. There's some really cool new releases, and I'm sure the range will be expanded as they go. We're excited to hopefully get our hands on them and build them and make our army bigger and play some larger scale battles in the 41st millennium. Maybe I'll get a chance to play them. No, I won't.
We're just
Maybe I'll get a chance to kill them. Or, you know what I really want? I want to ally them into my Tau. That's what I want to do. But we're going to end it there because we want to go play some more.
We do.
And I want to go try killing them with some Tau. So,
Good luck.
good luck. Yeah, it's going to be tough. But overall, you're happy with it? You're excited for it?
Honestly, if I had to rate it on a scale of 1 to 14, well, 1 to 10 is boring. I'd rate it about a 13.
13.
14.
13.
13
Wow.
out of 14.
In terms of how happy you are with this.
Happy with it? I breaks the scale. They feel like dwarves. They look like dwarves. They're steampunky artificer. I hit you hard. I'm going to hold this objective as long as I can.
And I, for one, welcome our new Votann overlords. And with that, from all of us here at Play On,
Till the next time we see you in the far-flung universe where the Leagues of Votann rock hardcore, play on.